the main source for our growth was that community involvement.
Yeah, the community.
Was that so being there, out there, taking the steps to help each other out there, just even buying things from that we didn't need from other people, just to show support,
right?
Just to get that face recognition, just to to kind of show. I like to call it the critical mass, and being there.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. We feature the top professionals driving results, raising standards in Northeast Florida's real estate industry. Today's guests are part of one of the most trusted and culturally connected real estate teams serving the Jacksonville area, known for their deep local expertise, client-first mindset, and commitment to serving the Spanish-speaking community. This dynamic team is helping families across the region find homes and build futures with integrity, heart, and hustle. They bring a powerful blend of leadership, bilingual communication, a passion for service that's making the real impact on buyers, sellers, and fellow agents alike. Joining me today, Jessica Mendez and Joel Gonzalez of the Real for Jacks team with Rise Realty Advisors.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. What was that? What was the tagline? Give me the tagline.
Yeah, our confidence is your trust. Our confidence is your trust.
Our
That's
confidence
the
is
English
your
version.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate you guys coming down. And finally getting this, it's been at least 2 years. I think I've been asking you if it's been long.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm going
I'm going on my 4-year anniversary. Next June 6th, I think, when I put the first show in. So it might be longer than 2 years. But I'm glad you guys are here.
Yeah, we're here.
I was fortunate to have Daniela Atone with EXP. Are you familiar with it? She works the Hispanic market as well.
Okay.
And I'm just amazed by what you guys are doing and the business that's being created, because I think it's so important that community is being served, and you guys are serving it at a high level.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. We're very proud of that. We're very proud to help our community grow and generate that generational wealth, which is key to the American dream.
Exactly. Actually, that was one thing I was typing up a little headline to put on when it goes live on Facebook, and that was the important thing was the wealth. I think, and when I was writing that, I was thinking, because we hear the news lately, people are shying away from buying homes, and obviously it's difficult now with high interest rates and cost, and everything's going to adjust there. But some of our, I'm going to say myself as being more of the average American. They're not coming with that cultural sharing. It's coming from other cultures, whether it's across borders or across water, coming in and realizing what the opportunity is here, especially in real estate.
Yeah. Sometimes here in the United States is easier than in our country to buy a home, for sure.
Yeah.
We have a lot of different programs. Well, you as a lender, you know that. So it's easier sometimes to do it here than in our country.
Yeah, so they see that opportunity that the system actually encourages home ownership. And that's something that we really try to drive home and make them realize it where they don't. And like, hey, stop wasting your money with rent. Here are these opportunities to become a homeowner. When they realize it's not that difficult, then they jump in immediately. Just like with that entrepreneurial mindset they have already to create businesses, to grow, to live the American dream. Once they realize, and becoming a home ownership is a key part of that of that mix, let's do it.
Well, you think again, I'm going to just use that phrase, average American again. We've taken for granted to actually own our own dirt, right? That our own house, our own roof. And in other cultures, it's handed down. To buy property in a lot of countries is very difficult because it's not often put up for sale.
Correct.
Yeah, here you have on the down payment assistance. They don't know that. So we try to, to show them the opportunities that they have here.
Right. So since we're on that culture, you guys need to get LinkedIn. Although I didn't look up Joel's.
have it.
He have LinkedIn?
We have it. I'm an Instagram girl,
Yeah.
so that's but he's LinkedIn.
She's an Instagram master, but I come from the corporate America, so I have
Right.
my LinkedIn for sure.
So I didn't get a chance to go on your LinkedIn,
Yeah.
Joel. So, which usually gives me at least a background to ask the question, because I'm going to ask a question I do not know the answer actually too, because there could be a couple of. Tell us a little about where you're from, and then what you've been in corporate America.
Yeah.
Tell a little bit of story of and then how did you guys get into real estate?
You want to take it first?
Yeah, we're originally from Venezuela.
Okay.
We came and we used to live in Miami for a couple of years. Then we moved to Georgia, and now we are here in Jacksonville. We
So
love
how old
Jacksonville.
were you when you came from Venezuela?
How what?
How old?
It was like 12 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for you, I
So
was
you're like
15 when I
15
started.
years. Are you kidding me?
All right. So you weren't young. You were old enough to realize what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And came to Miami first.
Yes, Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough back in a previous career, about 3 years ago, I was running an Alltel store, cell phones in Naples, and had a young lady from Venezuela. And I actually recruited her. I was walking the mall, and I watched her and what was going on. And obviously in Naples, every employee but me was bilingual. I recruited them all.
Oh.
I had a gentleman from Haiti and so forth, but I knew that was a power to have a bilingual person. Mm-hmm. And then what I found was the work ethic, sort of the attitude if they didn't hang out with too many of those average Americans that I've been talking about sometimes can get lazy. They really came and saw the opportunity of obviously, having a job, having health benefits and so forth.
Correct. So we came here to grind, to do the best that we can to achieve that American dream. I started in Boston with an MBA. Then I moved down to South Florida, where my wife joined me when she finally graduated in Venezuela as an accountant. She moved over with us. We moved over to Pembroke Pines, South Florida. We lived there for like 5 years. Then we came down because of an opportunity. I was a global logistics and supply chain manager, and it gave me an opportunity at this corporation that is based in Jacksonville that actually have plants in Georgia, Fernandina Beach and Canada later. And a good base for us was Brunswick. It was good distance to the different places. So we moved from Valencia, Valencia, the industrial city in Venezuela, to Miami, Boston, and all of a sudden we're in Brunswick, Georgia. And we loved that experience because when we moved over to Jacksonville, and it was that right mix for us between the big city and the town, and what a city can offer, a big metropolitan area can offer, but without the mess they have in these other big metropolitan areas. So we fell in love with Jacksonville immediately, and that's where our 3 children were born and we're growing, and we love this city. We really market this city like, hey, look at the values, look at what you can find here, look at the opportunities.
You have everything that you need here.
Right. Well, you kind of have, I was just thinking about, going to Miami. In Venezuela, were you living, it was more of a metropolitan area? Yeah. So you were living in an apartment or condo, whatever.
The big industrial city.
Your neighbor's right there. You're hitting the wall, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I've traveled to Asian countries, and they explained that they like living in the tight, multi-family.
Condos,
that's
apartments,
like,
complexes.
Did you see that cultural difference being in America, where most of the people like living, they want space?
The space.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's kind of regional. There's definitely a mix. I mean, we have both scenarios as well. Areas that look more like Florida and areas that look more like New York. So, I think where we lived, where we're from, is more like Jacksonville, actually. So we really connected the dots that, hey, Jacksonville looks a lot like where we're from. And we see the potential for growth, the development that is happening, and the fact that there's a space for that growth. And there's planning that you can see around the highways and everything, and the distances to key cities, areas, like Orlando, the same distance to Atlanta than to Miami. And the fact that you're 910 and 995 and you can go anywhere from there. A logistics hotspot.
Well, I think I always talk about lifestyle. People move to Florida for a lifestyle, especially, our Midwesterners, or probably even California, but definitely our Northeasterners. We're moving here for a lifestyle. And Jacksonville kind of gives you that. You're 30 minutes from, hey, if I want to get out and I don't want to see anybody, you could take about a 30-minute drive west and you won't see anybody. Or you could take a 15-minute boat ride and you're already out in the ocean and there's nobody around.
That's correct.
If you wanted, if that's what you desire, but you got rivers, you've got hiking trails and so forth, and you feel like within a few minutes I can be in the country.
That's one thing I really enjoy about Florida. You have like a land life and a water life. And once you get on the water, it's like, my God, this is just such a different city from this perspective. Everywhere in Florida, like Miami, Jacksonville, you name it, even Orlando, as the St. John's River gets really close to that.
Yeah, and what I like most Jacksonville is it's a easy city for me. First, we come from Miami. We came from Miami, very mess. And this is an easy city, and the people. Oh my God, our community is.
Are you
awesome.
seeing people move? I don't know if you had friends or whatever. There is a move, I think, from the Miami, Fort Lauderdale area to come north, to get out of that rat race.
Even from Orlando too.
Yeah.
Even from Orlando, yeah.
Because although, we were talking, you mentioned Tallahassee before the show.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still an area that's like untouched.
More rural,
Wild country.
More rural-like,
Yeah. You want to go boar hunting or whatever? Yeah, go out over there.
I say that we have like 4 kinds of immigration in Jacksonville. We have the people that are coming from California. I think that's number 1. New York is number 2. Chicago is number 3. And Miami, South Florida is number 4. And then she adds Orlando. Even people from Orlando comes to Jacksonville too.
Yeah.
What, since you've been here, and obviously you guys are involved in it, real estate's a business where you want to be you're in touch with what's going on. What is Jacksonville doing, right? And the influx of, we've become a financial hub. We've actually stolen some of these corporate companies from Charlotte, the triangle, so to speak, and brought them in here to bring a lot of, white collar jobs and so forth.
Yeah, I totally see that. And that's one of the first things, as I work in a corporation, that's one of the first things that we notice, right?
Yeah, many opportunities. Yeah, that's why people is coming, to here, because better prices. You can buy a home here. In Miami, it's so hard, too difficult. You always gonna try, but you're never gonna find because, it's too expensive.
Well,
so here, you have many opportunities, jobs, better jobs, and the opportunity to buy a property here.
All right. So he talked about his corporate job. You had an accounting degree coming in from Venezuela.
Yes.
What did you do prior to, as we're going to get into here in a minute, getting into real estate? Did you, or you just raising the kids?
Yeah, no. I was working as an accountant in Miami, in a company there. And then when we moved here, I started with my first baby. I really liked connect with people, helping them. And in Georgia, I see that was very difficult because there was everything in English. It was a very big change from Miami to Georgia. It was like what?
Oh, yeah.
South Georgia.
Oh, my God.
To be clear.
Yeah. And it was like nobody speaks their Spanish at all.
Right. And they're not totally speaking proper English either.
Yeah, it was very hard. So there I got a couple of friends that they wanted, to do things that they can do it because the language. So I said, oh my gosh, what about the people that really want to buy a house? How they can do with that difficult, They don't speak the language. Is one of the most important investment in your life.
Right.
And you're gonna do it without know anything, just signing the document, but you don't know what are you signing.
Right. Oh, well, there's this 2 parts. Being on the lending side, how you need to have your financials in a row as well. And it's different culturally. Wherever you go, how people, obviously, lenders don't like mattress money. There's a lot of people that they feel much safer having so much money in their house.
I mean, many Europeans that I deal with and South Americans, they don't like the credit system.
Right.
They think credit is just a bad thing. You know, you talk to a German about credit, it's like, oh, no, I don't want to get credit. I want to buy with cash.
And most of our Spanish people, they think the same thing.
Yeah.
That use the cash. I have the cash in my bag, in my bedroom. What? The cash? Really? You talking about the cash? Yes. No, please.
Tell me about this customer. Tell me about this customer we're dealing with right now, who has a really good thriving business.
Yeah.
And we realized when we're doing the lending process that she withdrew money from the business account to save it in cash to buy a house.
No, because I'm saving that money in cash because then I'm gonna buy another house in the future and I'm gonna use that money.
Right.
What?
But you want a loan. And then you're going to use that money as a down payment.
That's what kind we try to teach, all the time with the customer. What is the way?
You tell us how difficult it is to convey that cash into the lending.
I remember.
Hopefully they have that much money actually in an account that we could say, and we don't need that money, but when you come to closing, we don't care what
Tracy,
money you're bringing.
maybe, Tracy, maybe you don't remember, but I remember when we were the first time, like 5 years ago, I believe. Mm-hmm. The problem with the customer was that he received a deposit for $8,000 and we couldn't
trace it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We wait like 2 months, something like that, 2 months and a half to get the new statement.
And I mean, the common thing we get, especially sometimes they just get it from a relative. Well, that's what they tell us. But then when we say, well, we need to see that relative's statement that's where it came from, and they don't want to show it, like, oh God, come on,
and they're like, why do you want to see my bank statements? And they feel like that's an offense.
Yeah.
Why do you want to get into that? Why do you don't trust me? It's a trust thing also. It's like a principle. Why do they believe that I work hard and I show this and I have the money? Why do they want to get into my personal and privacy? It's a big cultural barrier.
They just believe like, they don't want to give me the loan, so I don't want to do it because they don't want to trust me.
Well, those who are listening right now, we love lending money. It's not that we're trying to find a way, although, I mean, obviously these are guidelines not set by any lender. They're set by investors. Mm-hmm. Investors but then the federal government's coming in and saying, well, we want to make sure that, someone's not taking this scrupulous money over here and laundering it through a house purchase and then selling the house and then calling it clean.
Hey, I'm going to tell you about a case real quick. I mean, we had this couple that sold their property in Colombia. Mm-hmm. And we were about to close here, and when we were about to receive the keys, all of a sudden that huge amount of money jumped into their account. And now we have on the writing, like, where is this money coming from? It's coming from Colombia. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, no, all right.
So it's a property
it's on a short list.
Yes.
All the papers are in Spanish. Get us the official registration, official records.
Translation.
And it's a very different paperwork. A type of tracing. And you have the language barrier and everything. And I had to go through and learn myself about how they do a property sale in Colombia to actually justify that money.
That brings, just an interesting statement for those that are listening. That's where you really got to have some lenders in your pocket, because having worked for multiple institutions in my 20 years, not all of them can overcome that hurdle. Some of them have underwriters who have been in the business, are savvy enough, are confident enough to say, I'm going to make this call, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that paperwork. Should someone audit the loan or something?
I totally agree. And the people that give up, a lot easier than others. Like, one of our key ingredients to our success is that we never give up.
Yeah.
No,
we never, ever give up.
When it makes sense.
The end. We try, and we have a lot of knowledge because we have a long time doing this. So more than 100 people's helping, so we know many cases. You
know what should work, what should get through, and what should not.
Exactly. And the experience is very
I'm the same way. I mean, my first 12 years, I was in the call center, Quicken Loans, volume, pulling a lot of credit reports every day, probably more credit reports on a couple of days than most loan officers pulling in an entire month because it's just a volume-based business. And when you see that many credit reports and then you submit enough loans, you're like, I know, after a while, it's just like AI, right? You start to teach yourself, like, that has an opportunity. That's gotten approved before. And things are coming.
I know their way, how to do it.
Right. And having those people in the back office too, the underwriters that are going to look at that and say, yeah, we've done something like that before. Let me just give me this other document, and that will help me seal the deal, and I'm good with it.
Yeah, and sometimes too, people come, oh no, I was denied. Feel very bad because they didn't approve for another bank or something like that. I say, no worries, let's try. I have tried like one time they say deny, second time deny, until they, fight. They say yes. So don't get up.
Because to me, my question is why? So someone denied, and I look at it and say, why would this person be denied? Everything looks right. What am I missing? What piece do I have? Mm-hmm. So when because you work closely with some of these people you handhold, are you going after someone's lender and say, tell me why?
Well, of course, I ask why. Of course, yeah.
What are some of the things that if you like the situation I think you were kind of telling there, you had someone who was denied a couple of times, but the third time you get someone actually said, yes, we can do a loan with this. What was it they were saying? What were some of the excuses that they were saying they didn't want? They basically were saying they just didn't want to do the loan.
Exactly.
I mean, what were some of the things they were telling you?
For example, maybe, oh no, he still, they don't have the 2 years history, for example. So I closed like 3 months ago, 3 months ago, a deal with a Colombian couple. Mm-hmm. They came and they only have here 1 year and a half.
Here in the States?
Here in the United States, working here. So I could, with the lender, we search what she was doing in Colombia, and we can put everything together to get the 2 year history.
Right.
So stuff like that, time, I don't know, maybe some lenders,
Well, I agree, especially when I first started. I think I've had a similar situation. They didn't want to cross. I found recently to be more open to it, especially if they were able to pull that company up on the internet and see that it looks like a legit company that's actually where they work for. And what's so silly about that is, okay, if they're putting some money down, they already have credit established here. They've been here a year and a half. What is 2 years? And that because they're not working for that company anymore anyway. Mm-hmm.
Correct.
If they say they were just, hey, I was going to school, they would just say, oh, okay, well, get us a copy of your transcript or your degree with the date you graduated, and that would fill
Because I think there are rules and there's interpretation of the rules, and that's where you very well mentioned is our experience that gives you the confidence. Like, hey, wait a minute, there's a way to really make the rule and justify this. It's just about that. Sometimes these underwriters, or I call them, I translate them into auditors. They're trying to do their job.
That's the translation.
By the literal reading of the rule, and they don't see how they can justify something that is, to us, because of the experience, very clear, easy to justify.
Looks simple,
Looks simple. And then when we get that door shut, we just push it back one more time. Like say, no, wait a minute. Did you look at this? Did you look at it at this angle? Can you put it this way?
Yeah. Well, that's why it's so important to be lined up with a lender. And there's always going to be a new underwriter, right? Someone has to fill someone else. There's going to be a new underwriter who doesn't have all that experience in the exceptions, right? And so you need hopefully that person's being led by someone who's senior and savvy and has got enough at bats that they've seen and said, no, we can get around that by doing this. And they feel good about it. Because I think a lot of people don't understand that underwriter, when they sign off on it, that's their license that they're signing off on.
Exactly.
And because if that loan comes back, they're not in a good spot.
That's going to be a problem.
Yeah. All right. So corporate moves you to Jacksonville.
Yeah, basically.
Do you both enter real estate at the same time, or one?
That's a great question.
Yeah. So when does real estate start to become a topic of conversation?
So since we got, even before we set foot in America, we invested in real estate. Mm-hmm. Even before we were here, we were already homeowners. But we bought as internationals, higher interest rate, higher down payments, higher, everything was more difficult. Mm-hmm. But we were already homeowners, and we saw the value of real estate in America from the very beginning. So we were always invested into it. As I developed my career, we were, I was basically the provider, as she was still working, but I was basically the provider. Then when she started in real estate, because she saw that opportunity, that language barrier thing, like she's like, as she said, she's amazing connecting with people. And she, kind of being that leader out there and kind of mentoring people around the opportunities. When she saw that and she felt like the passion clicked in her eyes.
That she could make that bridge for people.
Oh, completely. Instead of being in an office, 12 hours, because she's a workaholic, I gotta admit it. I'm not saying that is a good thing. But she's inside the four walls, just crushing numbers and getting little pay. And all of a sudden, she's putting even more time, but getting really more rewards and kind of flexible time and all of that. She felt that passion. It just ignited. Yeah. And my only job was to support her in the little time I had to help her out.
Right.
But she started exploding in success. And all of a sudden, she was, we had a family, small kids and everything. And I started getting busier and busier covering.
You're still doing your corporate job.
Yes.
And it became just too overwhelming. And like there was a time where we realized, okay, your business just skyrocketing, and I'm just plateau in my corporate life. It's very difficult to move up. That's a corporate life. Just very difficult, very slowly to move up. And
the time for kids, we have.
And I always say this: just her success swallowed my career. And I was a long time. I had 3 master degrees. I have employees.
Six. Yeah.
I mean, I was really into my career as an industrial engineer and logistics specialist, and we decided to make the call, and I joined forces.
So what I always like to share is that for the first steps that you take in real estate. So you decide you want to do it, you go get your license, or did you meet somebody in real estate?
No, I get the licenses.
You didn't know any real estate agents?
Nobody.
Okay.
Nobody. Even I remember very clear when I went to one of the broker that was very close to my home. Because I said, it's easier for the kids and get there to the office, because I didn't know anything. So I said, it's easy just to go to the office. And I remember the person that was there talking with me, and she said, and you know someone here, because you are telling me that you are moving from Georgia to here to Jacksonville. I said, no, I don't know anybody. This job is not going to be for you, she said. What? No, because
this was the broker.
That's the broker. That's the first broker that interviewed with me. And she said like that, no, that's not for you, because you don't, and maybe she saw my language too, like, no, it's the best English. And here you don't know anybody, you just move. No, that's not for you. I said, I was like, oh my God.
That's one of the barriers that life puts before you.
Well, how did you feel when she said that? Did you take it back? Like you're
that?
I don't know, insulting is the comment, but sometimes someone says you can't do something.
That encouraged me.
Yeah.
To do what I do now. Yeah, that's encouraged me and say, oh my gosh. I say, okay, no worries. And then from that day, I said, I'm gonna do it, and I do it, and it was,
I'm gonna give you more color into that.
Okay.
One of the reasons why we actually got her the real estate license is because we wanted to invest in real estate ourselves. We wanted to do it for ourselves.
Right.
And as I was in corporate America, it's not like I was out there networking much. And she was right. It's like we didn't know many people in Jacksonville. We were newbies in Jacksonville. Nowadays, I would tell you, I would challenge somebody who knew more people than she does.
I said, if you don't know me, you don't know nobody.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing about her is she knows a lot of people, and a lot of people know her. And the fact that she has this memory to not only recognize, but know the names of the people like nobody does. And like, many times I deal with people over the years, and I forget about, their names. I remember their faces, but I forget about their names. And then you just got to ask Jessica, Who is
Yeah.
this person? Oh, that's Carlos or that's John.
That is
or
a
that's-
skill.
Because I connect with them, with the reality, you know. Each case I can remember, each case I can learn. For each case is different.
That, to me, that is one of the skills of truly great people. Presidents and so forth, corporate CEOs, they just remember everybody's name. Blows my
That's
mind.
amazing. I'm training for it.
Yeah.
It didn't come natural to me, so I started training to it. But she is a natural.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you go with that? You obviously didn't go with that brokerage that you were.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Of
Okay.
course not.
So to share with the agents that are out there, and there's someone out there this is resonating with, and it may be with a brokerage right now who might not be giving support, because I really think the broker you choose for most agents can make or break them. Sometimes they might only last in the business a couple of months because they joined the wrong brokerage. They didn't actually take the time. So who did you know? If you don't want to share the name, I don't know if you're still with that original with the group you're in. But when you chose the brokerage you were going to go with, what was your decision making and why you chose them?
Because I think it's one of the most famous here in Jacksonville. I saw everywhere signs about that broker. And I say, that's the best one, so I have to be with the best one. But, you know, I change my mind. I say, I don't have to think about the broker. It's about me. You know, I don't have to go, oh, my broker is my broker Eki. I'm a broker. No. It's Jessica Mendez. So everyone knows Jessica Mendez now.
Right.
The broker is like you are there, bro. I'm Jessica Mendez.
Well, would you agree though? Because you guys were already dabbling in real estate, so you kind of had a general idea, 30,000 kind of foot level of what you understood the value of it, but actually what day to day a real estate agent actually needs to do. Did you need some guidance there? Was that something maybe you got from the broker that you chose, or maybe another top real estate agent? How did you start to learn the business in those first few months and what you...
Courses, YouTube, and in the real life. In the real life, you know, from my first case, you know, my first customer was an American. In English. Like, what? Yes, my first customer.
So what were some of the things you started to develop? Because I don't know what go back in history and what your numbers were. Your husband says you start off gangbusters is kind of way so many words he described. What got you going? What did you initially start doing that first month, that first year,
social media. I love social media.
Yes,
oh my
you
God.
do. You have a
huge
Instagram.
Social media. And I like connect with people like this, talking with them. Different the community events like for the community is.
Was it necessary you always hosting the community or just going to these community events?
No. Both. And sponsors.
Yeah.
We try to sponsor.
Sponsoring,
supporting the community. And it's amazing how the community go back to us and trust in our project, in what we do.
Right.
Yeah. Just participating in everything that you can.
She loves that social media, and I can tell you, just like I think your podcast is just gonna be your main thing because you're amazing at it. If she wanted to be just an influencer, she could just focus on that. But
I love it.
She loves it. I
be here the whole
just
day.
one thing. However, the main source for our growth was that community involvement.
Yeah, the community.
Was that being there, out there, taking the steps to help each other out there, just even buying things that we didn't need from other people, just to show support,
right?
Just to get that face recognition, just to kind of show, I like to call it the critical mass, and being there.
Yeah.
Did you feel in that community, well, obviously your initial observation when you were living in Georgia is like, people really need some guidance in real estate. In a Spanish community.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I feel very grateful and that I can't, with my customer, maybe they don't know even fill out the loan application.
Right.
So I can meet with them and help
walk
them
through it.
Yeah, in everything. So that's very nice.
And to me, honestly, I love your mantra. because that's a key word for us, is serving with excellence. And even for those that are non-Spanish speakers, like I said, we've had a lot of American customers have no word in Spanish or Portuguese or French or Italian. We still service with that excellence. We bring that, and they notice, despite of some of the language barriers, some of the keywords that we may not get across, they realize, oh my God, I never got this kind of service before. I tell you really quickly a testimonial from my mother's husband. He's a retired Army federal agent, a high-level rank. He's been there, out there, everywhere. He knows everywhere in America, like every single state, every single place that you can call America, and different bases globally.
Right.
And he had many houses throughout his life. Many different agents helped him across America. And when we first met him, and we were his real estate agents, and he realized how we operate, how we support our customers, the kind of service that we deliver, he was like, my goodness, you guys are amazing. You guys don't, we had that same...
Yeah, always that extra mile. We are more than we can do. Always more.
All right, I'm gonna put a test to you on that. I'm gonna make this like you're interviewing for a job, because when someone says something like that, tell us a story. That was a part of a story, but actually tell us something you did, because I think I've seen some reviews, and I'll talk about my wife, for example. Someone wrote a review and said she was still picking the weeds after the contract was signed. In other words, she didn't say, oh, the contract's signed, this house is sold, I'm done, I'm moving on. Oh. She was still making sure the house looked good right up until that final walkthrough. And she was picking, the house had been, I think someone had passed away and left it, so, it needs a little bit of TLC to make it look nice, make it show-worthiness and that sort of thing. And she was still picking the weeds in the flower bed, was the comment that one of the customers said. And she probably didn't think anything of it at the time, like, hey, I want to impress you, I'm going to go pick weeds. No, she just went over there and saw it and just picked the weed. Yeah. And that little thing just impressed them, and they put it in the review. So share with us a story that you did, one of your natural things, bringing with excellence, and the response from the client probably in a review was like, holy cow, I can't believe you did that. And to you and I, it was just something, that's what we do. Yeah. So do you have something you could share with us with that?
Well, I always tell them at the closing table, this is not the end. This is just the beginning. Yeah, because after closing, they're going to receive many spam, they're going to ask many questions, and we are there. Yeah. It's not like we just close the deal and bye-bye. No, we're thinking long-term.
Yeah, we play that long-term game, and that's very noticeable since the very beginning, because we're not just transaction-centric, we're relationship-centric. Exactly. And we can tell you experiences where we're listing a home, and we get to...
He was in the roof, cut the tree.
So we're there ready. We tell our customers, be ready for us, be ready for the pictures, prepare that home, because we want to take advantage of the time when we're there, and we want to make it look nice. And she trains them very well for that home to be ready for our arrival.
Yeah,
Sex expectations.
For the pictures, I'm very picky. So I don't like to take pictures with stuff there. Like, no. Yeah. It has to be perfect for me. So we have to do it by ourselves. If I have to clean, we have to do it. Yeah.
So we got on the roof, we got trimming the bushes, we got sweeping, vacuuming, whatever is needed. We're there. Yeah. I mean, we're not just because, we are the agents and we are at this level, whatever. We're just there to help you, to be your partner, to work together to success.
Yeah, very good word. I like that partner word. Yeah. In talking to so many great agents, and these stories like this come out, is that an agent's listening right now, And, I mean, how many times has someone moved out and left a bunch of stuff in the garage that you had to go clean out? I mean, like you said, let alone go in and clean a house and get it prepared for an open or just for pictures, clear the clutter off the countertops in the kitchen so, the pictures look good. Those are things that people don't realize real estate agents are doing, or at least really good real estate agents are doing all the time.
Yeah, it's very easy. It's actually recommended to delegate the pictures to a professional photographer.
Yep.
But we don't like doing that when the house is occupied.
Yeah.
Because nobody's going to be like here.
Like clean it, take up.
Making sure details are rearranged in a way that are more appealing. The photographer is just going to go there to take pictures, but she is going to make arrangements to make it look nicer. So we don't like to delegate that part. We want to be there. We want to learn about the home. We want to learn details that we want to know what we're selling.
In our video, we try, to do for each listing, do that nice video.
Yeah.
Because, that is the people like more to see. Pictures is okay, just for
The
MLS.
reality.
For the MLS of the picture, but for social media, you need a video.
I love your website, and you, instead of just doing a bio with everybody, everyone's got a little video. I think that's really,
Thank you.
The whole thing with the author, I think that's, I've never seen anybody else do, where everyone's saying something, about themselves or whatever. They got their 30, 45 seconds.
We need time for that.
Yeah.
That is time.
Yeah.
Well, we really like to do it.
It's a good investment.
Yeah.
But, and I really did get a chance to actually go on it because I think YouTube is one of those untouched things. I've had a lot of it, even some of the top agents, they don't really even have it. They have a page, but there might be a handful of videos they did. And I really think, if you agree or disagree with the discussion, every video you do on every house, you should be posting on YouTube because that video is there. It's like a library. And if someone goes, I want to, if you're doing a video on 123 Jacksonville Street, and who knows, 3 years later, someone's going on and Googling 134 Jacksonville Street, that house is probably that video is going to pop up in the search.
I'm going to record you to send it to our marketing advisor.
I think everything should be dropped into YouTube. It is a library, and you don't, I don't know the algorithms. You just don't know when that video is going to pop up in front of somebody.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. We're trying to take advantage of that, but and it's funny that you mentioned that because some people, I think, and I don't blame them, they think real estate agents, and especially the successful agents, they're just opening a door, showing a house, and they're making money.
Yeah.
Nobody could be more wrong than that. And that's why I believe in this industry we have such a high rotation. These new agents come, and you're listening, pay attention to this. You come and you think just opening and showing a house is going to make you money, you cannot be more mistaken than that. It takes way more than that. And it's a business, it's a profession.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a professional approach to it and learn to overcome the obstacles over time, grind to actually achieve those results, because there's so much more out there. Even the time consuming of some of these tasks, of even the showing the houses, you have to make sure that you are really educating your customers so you are more productive with that time you're investing to show them the houses. That time is so valuable to us. It's time that we're sacrificing from our families.
Exactly.
Because most of the time these showings are happening in the weekends
or
after the
evenings
hour. And that's time away from our kids. And even showing that house is a big investment. So there's way more than just opening that door.
It brings up a good point. A lot of people don't think, in our industry, whether it's on the lending side or on the real estate side, we accommodate our time for when they're available. Right, our customers are available. That's just our business. It's how we live it.
It throws off your plan.
They are available. Yes.
You have a plan for the day. You have a plan for the week. All of the sudden, this customer is available. And it's now. It's not gonna be available in another week.
Exactly.
And you gotta scratch your plans.
It's always when their kid's not playing soccer, or that's when they're available on the weekend. I want to touch on two things because I really think the average agent only thinks 60 or 90 days, if that, in advance. Most of them are going 30 days. They're trying, hey, what can I get? Can I get something under contract and get paid next month, right? They're not looking at it on the long-term game plan. You mentioned a little bit early. Is that something that you realized when you understood the business and how it worked, the relationship part, that this is a marathon, not a sprint? and you've got it, whether you got that customer who needs a couple of years to get their credit and financials together, or you're obviously hopefully we're lucky we get that customer calls us, says, hey, I have a house, I want to go see it, and they make an offer that night and you close in 30 days. That's beautiful, right? But those don't come around. You have to understand it is a long-term game. When did you actually start to understand that, or is that something you just did naturally? Because I think a lot of agents need to at one point the light bulb goes off and goes, you know what? I need to start really working on my relationships and really focusing on whether my marketing or the follow-up after the close. When did that really start to go up, set off for you?
I think it from the very beginning. Honestly, is that contributing factor? Is that doing something for a purpose? Because one of our big purpose was leveraging these communities' opportunities and show them and help them grow capital, help them grow wealth. And to us, it's a big purpose. To me, whoever doesn't realize homeownership is the key ingredient to the American dream is falling short big time. And I hate when they try to promote renting and home ownership is just too expensive and whatnot, and home values are just gonna drop from the sky and then they fall apart. World War III is just coming and don't do home. And I say, you don't know how big of a driver real estate has been for America since the very beginning. That generational wealth that's been translated from generation to generation and leveraging. And we can get into the technical details of how that happens.
But all that takes time.
It takes time.
And that's why you got to be in it for the long.
Correct. Yes. So we have that approach for our people to not just get some commission at the end of the transaction. No. Is that happiness that they're really getting the best that they can get given the circumstances. And then if they feel that they were very well treated, they have the best support, the best.
What is one of the most that we have is referrals, from customers. That's our most of our customers come from
direct referrals.
Because why?
Yeah.
Because we did a great job.
We play the long-term game. We want to be that primary care physician, that lawyer that's going to be with you, partnering with you for the rest of your life. It's like real estate is going to be there with you for the rest of your life. We want to be that agent who's going to help you navigate the opportunities, the challenges, and everything that comes at you. When they think of real estate, these are our agents.
Yeah, and we always are with them from the beginning until the end and more.
I know that's one of the things there. Eventually, one of these days, I'll have big fancy cameras that'll just be set. There we go. We're back on marketing. I just want to make sure actually everyone's being recorded here correctly. There we go. Back up. All right. There we get you back on. Part of the follow-ups and staying top of mind. As the years go on, I always say that customers in front of you is your billboard. For the rest, if you do a great job, they will be a billboard out there advertising you every day of the week. But you have to repaint that billboard every so often and stay in touch of it to keep the light on it, so to speak. What are some of the things that you guys are doing to stay top of mind and keep those past customers warm so that they are thinking of you when someone starts talking about real estate?
We always try to give new information. Education is key. Even we do classes almost. We try. We are so busy. Half the time.
Are you doing a newsletter, or are you doing something what's some of the automated things you're doing?
Yeah, and we're doing classes even monthly. 2 months monthly. I have a waiting list of more than 10 people that they want to go to our classes, but the time is sensitive with the kids and everything and the customer.
10 organizations.
But we try to educate. We love educate our community. Because it's so sad when some sign, I ask some customer call me, hey Jessica, I have my home and I want to sell it. And I say, okay, and I want to buy another one. What is your loan? I don't know. What is your interest rate? I don't know. What is you don't know?
you just want to change the scenery.
You don't know? Oh my God, that's so sad.
Yeah.
And we really love educate our customer, our community, that they know what they're doing.
And using that long-term perspective actually help us as we're helping people buy their home or sell their home. We're thinking down the road because we're doing the best thinking in the scenarios that are going to present themselves down the road. And I give you a very quick example. We got recently a listing where they bought their home, but we didn't have the inspection, and therefore they didn't realize that their attic didn't have sufficient insulation. And we were like, how is that possible that you could buy a house without knowing it didn't have sufficient insulation on top? And now it's our problem because we are selling that house.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, so when we're buying, we're thinking, if I'm going to sell that house down the road and my customer is going to rent it or sell it or whatever, this is how we're going to help them do it. They're getting the best here. They're getting the best there, having that approach with them. So down the road, we provide these newsletters, education, and being out there in the community, helping continue to contribute, keeps us top of mind.
Also most of our customers are our friends.
Yeah.
They're our friends. They invite us for baby shower, birthday, Christmas.
We wish we could actually honor all those invitations.
Yeah.
We would love to honor all those invitations. Honestly, and it's actually great for us, not only because somebody is really caring about us.
Right. Or you impacted their life that they want you to join them in.
Correct. But every time we go to one of those invitations, she gets a new customer. So we would love to go to every one of those. It's just we only have 365 days, 24 hours a day, and 3 more kids.
Oh, because today's younger generation, a lot of them don't even know. You talk about educating them like on their house and the things they should know, like know what their financial situation is, let alone the mortgage. But they really don't even know that there's a hot water heater in the house. There's actually, where these things are at, and like, how do you shut off the water? Should you have a little catastrophe in the house? How do you shut the water off? I guarantee if we went around and quizzed 10 homes on a random street,
it's great that you mentioned
6 or 7 wouldn't even know how to shut the water.
Last night I got a water heater negotiated when the deal was already done.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, this is good. This is all we needed. That's fine. And I said, no, that water heater is going to break in a few. And you're going to be mad that you didn't accept my recommendation. Let's help get that new water heater, even if you got to pay a little bit for it right now. But let's do the best now in advance of having that water heater break on you.
Yeah, a few $100, because you don't want to make an insurance claim, God forbid. Yeah. You mentioned the word grind, which led to, we were talking pre-show about grit and the love, laughter, and consistency of what you're doing in the business. So if I get just a statement from each of you, why do you love real estate?
I love talk with people, helping people. As I say, I feel very, I don't know, how can I say that? Important? No.
Relevant.
Because...
impactful. You're an impact in people's lives.
When I see those faces and say, oh my God, Jessica, thank you for explaining all of this to me in my language. Now I understand what I'm doing. It's so...
Because you find a lot of them, they don't know what to ask, right? But you know what they should hopefully know. But you find a lot of them don't know, because they don't know what to ask. And when you tell them something, like, oh my God, I wouldn't...
when I explain, they start to ask.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
When you start to explain what is going on, what is everything, they start to ask.
Then the questions come up, because now you're starting to educate them a little, or starting to get them to think a little bit, because they didn't know what road to go.
I love to do that. That's the most, because I feel like I'm doing something more than the regular, business. I'm doing more.
Yeah, being that beacon of light. I mean, when she's mentioning connecting with people, becoming that beacon of light, not because I'm a spiritual being, a guru or some special source, although I'm very spiritual, try to be, but it's just being that contributor, contributing to their success. To me, is key. Having that flexibility to mingle with different people, different mindsets, and sometimes are very difficult customers that are just blocked in their mindset when they're getting their and their doors shut, or obstacles put before them to get that loan approval, for example. And then we show them there's still that light at the end of the tunnel. Focus on that, and let's overcome these. You're gonna be really happy when you get your keys. Believe me, I've done this so many times.
Even they don't believe that they can do it.
And they wanna give up. They wanna give up. That this is not for me. This is not my house. They start looking at the gray, at the black hole. Sometimes you're like. And even sometimes I send them a spiritual message like, hey, I try to use things from the Bible. She is an amazing marriage counselor. I avoid getting into the marriage part. But, and everybody knows this. Some people just get divorced when they're buying a house because they start, drilling into those differences. And we make sure, do our best, we strive for making sure that people are enjoying the experience the most. And it's sometimes not easy at all. Transactions can get really convoluted. Many people involved in the transaction can be really tough. The situation can be really complicated. But we do our best to shield our customers from those situations and make sure we try to put them in a bubble. Sometimes that bubble is sparked, right? But
somebody in the family typically.
We do our best to help them enjoy the experience.
Right.
And when we see this young couple we just closed on, like their dream coming through and how everything went, it was really the roses for them, but like we make them really special, really memorable. It makes us feel happy.
No, there's been many times doing a loan, and it really wasn't any. I mean, I didn't do anything special, or maybe I helped someone get their credit score a little better by paying off a credit card or something, give them that advice, because we have access to do stuff like that. And when they say, I can't believe I could, you're kind of humble, but it's like, I didn't like go to the end of the earth on this one, because there are a lot of people out there that don't believe they can do it because they haven't had the courage. If that's a better, there's a better word.
Probably a glass ceiling.
And sometimes because they ask the wrong person.
Right.
Oh no, the neighbors. The neighbors told me because I buy a house, I buy a car, I cannot buy now a house.
Right. Yeah.
You have to ask the expert.
Exactly. Exactly. We so often want to ask someone who has no experience of what we want to do, what they think of our dream or our vision, and they don't have that dream or vision that we have.
And everybody's they're the trying killers to command. Everybody's trying to contribute. But hey, wait, every transaction in every particular situation is very different. There's something they're not telling you, or something they don't know, or something they weren't told that happened in the transaction. And I think at the end of the day, it's a matter of trust. It's a matter of trust. We have definitely experienced where there's trust from the beginning because that customer is a referral. Transactions are just smoother because it's a teamwork effort. But when sometimes this lead is coming from social media, whatever, and they don't know us enough, and they come with that distrust in mind because they've been taken advantage of in the past. I don't blame them. Sometimes. And they create that barrier. It's just we work hard in breaking that barrier because we need to work together to help you succeed. And that's one of the key things that we try to do every time.
So the subject we were talking about was love, but one thing that came up for me was the fact coming from corporate America, and now you're self-employed now. You're calling your own shots. How does that feel?
It felt terrible at the beginning. Where
fish out of water.
Especially to me, when I used to pick up the phone or just chat to my IT department. Hey, I have this issue. Can you fix it for me? I can't work. Now it's like I'm my young IT department. I'm like, oh, my goodness, I'm here with this, and I don't have another department to call to help me out here. I have to save myself. That was one of the big barriers, trying to overcome that. And then also at the end, calling my own shots was really inspiring. It is really inspiring. I mean, it's like when I realize I have to lead, I have to take the best use of my time and start making things happen on my own, that's great. However, you have to overcome that uncertainty that by day 15th, that check is not coming. It's going to come the day you close that transaction.
Right.
So you have to live, you have to have the faith and the courage to keep plowing
pressing
through,
on,
right?
yeah.
Plowing
Because that
through.
day you don't think the deal's coming. That's when it comes,
Correct.
and you just got to keep doing the things that you've.
And sometimes
your
even your
process.
customers of the other side, they want to take advantage of that because they know you're not collecting until that transaction closes.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's a thing.
All right, the laughter part we got kind of described it earlier. Yeah, you're making that leap of faith from corporate America. That takes a lot.
Huge leap of
To
faith.
do that. Now, obviously, you supported her getting started. Now she had a system rolling. You were able to join on. Makes it a little easier. But yeah, like you said, you're not, that deposit's not coming into your account a couple times a month, and the health benefits, and the other things.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, not asking someone if you can take vacation or not is nice too.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're going on this date. We don't have to have permission from anyone else.
Oh, that's one of the nicest things. But that healthcare thing, that threw me off. When I started doing healthcare on my own instead of that corporate healthcare, oh my God, that was a big one. That was a big one.
But Jessica, share with us a time when, whether it was just a bad transaction, but really kind of set you back. I mean, I think a lot of real estate agents, I don't know if this was the case for you, but I think if a real estate agent hasn't actually, got to a point of tearing up or, just being down, just whether a way a customer treated you, a transaction win or something in real estate, it kind of sets you back, but you said, you know what, I'm going to press on. Have you had a time like that? A situation?
I think many times. Just trying to recall like a specific one that stands out.
What I really feel bad is when I give you everything, when I trust you, and I give you all my acknowledgement, and I guide you in everything, and then, I don't know.
They show up to a new building.
I was walking on the walk and I
my
see
friend.
a new building. No, because it's sometimes it's because they don't know. And I was walking that Sunday and I see that builder and I go in. And I don't know. I sign it.
I signed all the papers.
I signed the paper, but Jessica, I don't know. You can help me with this and this and this. What? How can I help you?
Yeah.
You already signed it. I
Right.
cannot do anything.
Yeah. Especially back
That's so sad.
when
Because it's
that transaction we were talking about earlier back in 20, when the builders didn't even want to talk to the real estate agents. They didn't want to have
Some
anything
of
to do
them,
with.
yes.
Oh my God! Now, of course, they're begging you to bring people to them.
Yeah.
And all the extra incentives and so forth. But yeah, if that customer went in and signed the paperwork, there was no way you were getting on it.
Yeah, and in the middle of the transaction, most of the customers are, alone.
Yeah.
They don't have nobody there
To represent
helping them.
Yeah.
So, and then they want to ask me, what I have to do in this. I say, really?
Sometimes they believe they're going to
Really?
save money on it, and it's the total opposite.
Yeah.
We know it's the
100%.
total opposite.
That is their, I want to say, an old wives'
One
tale
of
is
the
what I
big
call it.
misconceptions.
His
because
mother
people
biggest
don't
is-
know.
yeah,
People
yeah.
don't know.
There's this gentleman out there. I hate to mention his Instagram. I think it's Realtors Hate Me is the name of his actual.
Really?
So he's trying to drive this, he's trying to launch this basically online thing. You don't need a realtor, going to save buyers and sellers billions of
God.
dollars. No, you're going to create billions of headaches is what you're going to create. And
In a system
angst and,
that is going to... We've been there in another country where real estate agents weren't really that relevant. And it doesn't help the system at all.
No.
And if you actually investigate why this industry was built on, is making sure the system has some set of rules and guidelines.
Yeah.
And people that really know how to drive that American dream home.
the LLC, we got love, laughter, consistency. What do you think you've done in your business? And this may have changed over time. You know, what you were doing obviously years ago to today's market, but what do you feel has been like almost like a cornerstone in your business that you consistently do? Something the agents who are listening can take from you, from a tip that you're giving that you do on a regular basis, whether it's daily, monthly, but something in your business that you're doing. And if the day goes on or the month comes to an end and you haven't done it, you're like, I got to go home. I got to go back and do this.
In my mind, is staying knowledgeable, training, and really reading the news. If you're a real estate agent, you don't know what's going on out there in the macro environment,
or what your customers are hearing, right?
Or even the micro environment. You're gonna miss out big time. You're not gonna know how to. Sometimes I deal with other agents in a transaction. They have no clue what's going on, and they tell you something that is totally out of this world. Like they feel it's a seller's market when it's indeed a buyer's market. Like, you don't know. Oh my God, who are you? I mean, and it's difficult to navigate when they don't have this knowledge.
These are on timers, so I
Yeah.
just want to make sure it doesn't blink out on me. And this office has a blink timer. Okay, good.
Yeah, it is.
What else can you say?
Staying current, and knowing what the economy, politics, I mean, real estate especially, rates, everything. I mean,
Well, if you want to be leaders, or to me, we know the housing industry in the United States is a big part of our economy. When people are moving and buying or building new houses, a lot of people are involved throughout from building refrigerators to building the house, putting the roof on. And the real estate agent is like the concierge. You're like the linchpin that makes that whole thing flow a little easier. Without it, every house is different. Every situation, negotiation, all those things are going on. It's all different on every situation. And it's the real estate agent that just makes it flow a little easier in that.
We're the quarterback of the transaction. That's what we say.
Exactly that. And if you're not staying knowledgeable, you're not being the leader that these people hopefully hiring. They want someone to lead them through this transaction.
And you don't feel confident at the moment that you are talking with the customer. So they ask questions and you have to give the best advice. So you have to be knowledgeable.
Right.
Totally agree. I mean, like sometimes we can get swam into different things, pulled to different things. And I may have a couple of days when I haven't read my Wall Street Journal and I feel like naked. I mean, like I have to read my Wall Street Journal. I need to know what's going on. I mean, that's my main source of information. And of course, I read the Florida Realtors publications and Northeast of Florida publications. And I can tell you all kinds of statistics about, real estate here.
Let's finish up. I want to talk a little bit because you have a team. And kind of finish up of your philosophy with them, what's going on with the team, how you run your team. There's a lot of teams, but every team is run differently. How leads are generated, that kind of thing. In case there is an agent who is interested in talking to you, guys heard you say and has resonated and say, oh, geez, I'd really love to talk to them. How big is the team now? How many agents do you have?
We are a total of 4 agents right now.
Okay.
And we were bigger before. And for whatever reason, some people got other great opportunities. Some people weren't just the best fit. We let them go, and we felt like we don't just want to grow for growing the team. We want just quality of service. We want alignment, and we're very happy with the agents that we have. And we have more people, more staff around our team.
Support.
And some agents that want to jump in, just knocking at the door. But to me, it's just a matter of alignment and also probably creating that relationship first. If I don't have a relationship with you, even you bring me that resume, I'm just not going to take you by the resume. I'm going to build trust first.
Have you learned this through a little trial and error with the team? Bringing on people that were sort of bad apples?
Kind of thing, yeah. I think in the end, if you realize that you don't connect in a way with the same kind of vision, and it's good to have ambition. For example, we are very ambitious, but we are ambitious with a purpose to serve, to do it in the best way possible, to grow together, to collaborate, and if we see that person's just you're probably being too selfish or it's not being truthful.
Or maybe want just to take advantage
of that knowledge, take it elsewhere or whatever. I mean, everybody has an opportunity to grow. Everybody has an opportunity to expand. Everybody has the opportunity to move on. But if you're coming with that mindset from the very beginning, we notice that you are not really committed. There's not a real commitment to that team effort, to that growth together. We are like, this probably wasn't a good decision.
Right.
And she complains that how much I like to teach, right?
He talks a lot. You see, the whole podcast he's talking. He explained everything from the beginning until the end. And
My
I'm
parents-
just giving you an example.
Yeah,
That's
they were both teachers.
Got it. You understand?
They were both
No,
teachers.
just play like the long way.
And I'm trying to convey that
That's
in a
easier
very
to
good
say.
manner. If they don't appreciate that, or, they don't appreciate that experience you're sharing with them with passion and everything. It's like, there's not a good fit.
So 'cause in a small team like that, I imagine like you're getting overflow customers.
Yeah.
You're busy, so you got another referral. You're handing them off in that situation. It's important that they're getting the same service as if they were dealing directly with you.
And it's a big challenge because customers
Yeah.
wanna deal with Jessica. I mean, Jessica, sometimes they even complain when I'm handling them more than Jessica. It's like, who's your husband? Well, where is he coming from? Is he a real estate agent too? I mean, they want to deal with that person. It's a personality they bought into. And it's difficult to convey the fact that we are delegating. We are, we're making. Actually, if I get to speak with like a Ryan Serhan, that's one of the key questions I'm asking. I mean, if I'm selling my home, I want you to be the one selling my home.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can multiply.
I wonder when the last time Ryan Serhant went on a listing appointment.
Yeah.
Do you go on a listing appointments and buyers together, or how do you work that?
Yeah,
Together,
sometimes
most times we
of them
try.
is together.
Because
Yeah.
listings are very, very key.
Yeah, we are very picky with listing. That's why we really like to do a great job. So we do it together.
And
Most of the
if we think it's not a good fit, but not only for us, it's for me mostly. The most listings that we reject is because they are not convenient to the customer.
Yeah.
We tell the customer straight on their face, we're not just going to take your listing for sake of just trying to sell something and just
That's
tell you
very true.
lies. This is your situation. This is your scenario. And what we think with our experience and our knowledge that is best for you is actually not to sell right now.
No.
Yeah.
We tell them that
Yeah.
on their face. And they're like, I can't believe you're telling me this.
Yeah.
And sometimes they even try with another agent. They
And
fail
they don't.
miserably. and they come back and like, why?
1 year
We didn't
later,
listen to
you were right. I should rent it instead of sell. Okay, let me see if now is the time. And
Well,
I share again.
right now you're getting these situations where, like, especially in condos, but it could be in the same neighborhood. Hey, there's already so many other houses for sale in your neighborhood right now. You may want to just hold on for a few more months. Let some of those move out before you list your property.
Yeah, we don't tie listing just for tie listing, and we say,
Yeah.
oh, I have 10 listings, 20 listings just for no.
Do you know if you're an agent out there, do you know there are almost over 12,000 agents in Northeast Florida? Do you know there are more than 11,000 homes for listed in Northeast Florida, which represents more than 10% of the entire inventory of the Florida state, which is one of the biggest states in the U.S.
Right.
In the United States.
Right.
I mean, it's a huge inventory.
I saw somebody posted something in St. Johns County is like 3,000 listings right now, which is like the highest it's ever had. Yeah. Talk about the support. One of the things that's challenges to a lot of agents is, especially solo agents, they reach kind of a lid. They can do only so much by themselves, and they start to hit that lid. I think it's somewhere between, $6 to $8 million in general inventory. Obviously, telling what market, price point you're having, that might go up or down a little bit, but somewhere south of 10 million. 10 million by themselves is a feat. Doing everything. I mean, literally everything, all your transaction coordinating. But when you mentioned you have several support people, how has that changed your business when you started to bring some? Well, obviously he got into business as a supporting you, but now you've actually got. I imagine you probably have a transaction coordinator, maybe somebody doing
we
your.
have a transaction coordinator.
Tell me about some of those support people.
Yeah, we have a person with the social media too. It's let us more time. To do more business.
Yeah.
Focus on
it's
the
great.
value.
Yeah, because you can grow because you are not in a. And it's very difficult for me to let everything to others because I'm very picky. And like for social media, it has to check the videos. I'm working on that. For he's easier, to like okay, do it. And no, like I have to check first. So it's I'm working on that, still working on that, but yeah, of course, there is more time to grow up and do more business and more focus on our customers.
Speak a little bit to that, because I think a lot of agents don't realize when they start getting to that stamp, you're starting to take away that time that you can focus on to wow them, right? We talked about earlier going above and beyond. Well, it's hard to go above and beyond when you're running around with, like a chicken with their head cut off, doing all these different things that you need, because you're now, your business has now reached a level where you either are going to grow or you're just going to cap off right here and probably start retracting because you're not following up on the past customers and letting them know you're still in the business, so your business is continuing to hopefully come 100% referral. But talk about the quality of FaceTime. I imagine is what is one of the main things you're doing. The more face, because they want Jessica, right? You said they're always asking for Jessica. They want Jessica. This is with having these support people. That actual time is actually equated to more money, even though you spent a little bit on that support because that costs money, and it's now gotten you 10 times more.
Yeah, well, I can with more time. For example, for invitations, special invitations that most of the customers, are our friends. So Jessica, I have my first year's old is her birthday, so I have time. So I can
Stop
go
by
with my kids.
Yeah.
And it's that kind. All what can I say is natural. It's me. It's doing me. People trust us because they can, you can read your eyes. They can see that we are telling them the truth and we are always there and connecting, birthday, waiting, everything. We are always there.
I think anyone's listening, and I think I want to say it's common sense, and it makes total sense, but I don't think we realize because, being a real estate agent, you're 24/7. That you are on call. Exactly. That person, maybe if you go away on vacation, you can get, obviously you got other agents that can help cover whatever things that happen while you're not in town. But going to that actual birthday party, as Joel has said, you walk out with a referral half the time, with probably more because you went and spent time there. So it's not that, hey, oh man, I'm hiring somebody to do something I could have done just to go to this birthday party. You're the face of the business, and you're actually walking away with a deal that ends up
down the road.
And people see on my Instagram what she's doing.
Right.
So, but no worries, I can be in a party and I can answer you. I can be in Europe. Yeah. We went on vacation and it was, why? You are talking by phone with the customer right here in Europe? Oh, I can't believe it. It's like, I can do it. It's for me, it's normal.
That's why I said at the beginning she's a workaholic. But for me, sometimes it's like a challenge where we are committed to the people that trusted or value us enough to invite us to a certain celebration or event. But then we have these other customers who are burning on a transaction. And they see, oh my God, but you were partying last night. And like we're answering to you tomorrow, just a few business hours after, and you are mad because we delayed our answer a couple of business hours, because they get that desperate because that transaction is so important to them, right? So it's a game that is difficult to play around that. And like you said, everybody wants that face.
Yeah, but because most of the time we are there within any hours. So I talk to my customer 10 p.m.
At the
11 p.m.
At the end of the day, when they close the transaction after 30 or more days and they realize how much support they receive, sometimes we create these groups, chat groups with our customers when we are together chatting with the other couple. And let's say a couple of days go by and I, Joel, don't read the chat because I'm dealing with another situation, but she's on top of it. And then I check the chat. 700 of read messages. And this is one of the chats. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Let me know what's going on here.
And I could love that chat feature will give you an statistics how many messages were there at the end of the transaction, because it could be thousands in every transaction. Of course, most of our customers value that in the end. They realize how much support they receive, but sometimes they don't realize how actually much it was. Like again, 700 messages in 24 hours is just amazing.
Do you set any expectations so? I mean, like, because it's like, hey, I'll take your call in the evening, but if it's really not an emergency, just call me back in the morning. Do you ever kind of?
No, I never say that.
You never?
No. I always try to answer.
We actually tell our customers we're 24/7.
Again, for me,
tell them.
it's just it's not a problem. It's not bother me that do that.
And the only thing I tell them, if you call me in the middle of the night, I'm not gonna pick it up because it's in silence mode. But you are at 2 a.m. at our airport, or you just can't sleep, you can message us 100% of the time. So we tell them we are truly servicing you 24/7. Oh, I have a pilot. And the other day he said, I didn't write to you because I thought it was too late. And a doctor told me that too. And I said, no, you can definitely write to us 24/7. Don't hesitate to write.
Well, I feel text messages is one of those things where you send it, you're not expecting an immediate response. You're expecting maybe the next time they pick up their phone, or like I said, when they wake up in the morning, because maybe they get off work late, they can message you because their thoughts in their head. So they're sending that question, but they really shouldn't expect a response back until the morning and you get up and start working. Now, if it's like, hey, I'm broken down on the side of the road and I have no one else to call, that's a phone call.
Actually, I gotta tell you this story. It happened yesterday. My conversation with a cardiologist in town who is very, very busy. He's a very popular cardiologist. And Saturday night, he didn't dare to contact me because he thought it was too late. And then he ended up in a bad deal, in the lease that he's on, as we're trying to buy his next few houses,
right?
Just because he didn't dare to contact me. And I said, don't ever do that again. I'm here for you. So do it. Really take me seriously when I say we're 24/7.
I'll finish up with this thought. I mean, that just goes back to this business cannot be automated. It is a human being, and those people, and you and I are like, that's not really a big deal. But to them, in their mind, they're stressing out. They may lose sleep over whatever it is. They've got to talk to somebody, and that's really the role that
I tell them, flush it out, because that question you don't want, it's not gonna let you sleep. You don't send me that question right then.
Yeah, exactly. Most of them are the first time home buyers, and they feel like, I need an answer.
Yeah,
so it's great when you are there.
Well, in those situations, because you don't want the mother, father-in-law, whatever, trying to give them advice, and
before
you want to get your answer in before their answer.
Exactly.
They get derailed into an emotional track.
Anything you guys like to add?
Well, I just want to thank you for the invitation. I'm honored. You are amazing at this.
I appreciate that.
I don't know. Are you a journalist by background?
No. I am a education major. Was my degree.
Okay, there you go. You're a teacher at heart.
When people ask me about doing a podcast, and especially if you're doing an interview podcast, some people, I don't know, could sit and rant and go on like on a solo podcast. To me, if you don't have a following, there's not a lot of people going to listen to you for very long, unless your subject matter is very unique or something that you're talking about. But if you're doing an interview, you got to be interested in people. And it's kind of like, like I said, you guys are so interested in, winning for your customers and, making them happy and, showing them that this can be done. Those type of inspirational things give you guys a high. My high is just really, to me, it's like a personal development thing to hear your stories.
Yeah. And it's amazing how much you're learning, I bet.
Oh, oh my God.
And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to add something truly. And what you're saying is so true. It's not only to customers, agents out there listening to you right now. It's not only to customers, agents, it's to others agents too. Please do try to work with a professional approach, even though we're on the other side and we are negotiating big emotional and financial situations. Even when the deals, the more difficult they are, the better it is to connect with the other agent in a positive and proactive way. We represent our customers the best that we can. We represent their interests. Doesn't mean we're going to agree on everything, but we don't have to fight over it in a non-professional way. Exactly. That's a big advice. And I got to tell you, I don't know if you heard about this big news on these real estate agents that lost their kids, and she lost her spouse, husband in the river here. There was a
yes.
tragic accident.
I will tell you a post-show a little thing about that. Go ahead.
And I had met that agent probably twice in my life. The last time it was a quick hello. I remember his face. I don't know, out of coincidence, I guess. It's one of the many agents you run into at an event.
Right.
But the story struck me, and I'm in this real estate agents group where they start chatting and kind of supporting each other. And one of the themes there was like, hey, guys, let's focus on the important matters and let's stop, killing each other for just business.
Yeah.
My point of view on that is you have to, what's the thing they say to do in the morning? You do your aspiration.
Your meditation.
Just you're thinking about what you're grateful for and so forth.
Your
the reality
gratitude.
is you should be grateful you have a deal. The reality is you have someone who wants to sell their home, and you have someone who wants to buy it. And you have an agent representing over there, and you're representing the other side, and that your goal is to get to the goal line. How much they sell it for, what they give up, that's totally up to them. They have to sign the bottom line. They're your customer.
If you're a listing agent, you're going to be a buyer's agent too. You're a buyer's agent, you're going to be a listing agent too. Think about the other side.
Yeah. I mean, your customer may ultimately not like that they had to concede $1,000 for something, but ultimately when they sign it, they're happy it's done and they're moving on.
Yeah, that's correct.
I appreciate you both coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
This may be it for today's episode of Real Estate Excellence, but we both know your pursuit of excellence doesn't stop here. To connect with the best of the best and really take your skills to the next level, join our community by visiting TracyHayesPodcast.com, where you'll meet more like-minded individuals looking to expand their inner circle and their personal experience. That's available at TracyHayesPodcast.com.